Hey, you all. Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the south. More specifically, we are in Key West, Florida. And yesterday was a big day for me, for the channel. We completed the buoy to buoy US 1 road trip. We started in Angles Inlet, Minnesota, the northernmost point in the contiguous United States, and then traveled all the way down here to Florida, to the southernmost point here in Key West. There's a buoy here in Key West. There is a buoy at the northernmost point. We went from buoy to buoy. We actually jumped on US 1. I've always wanted to complete US 1. Figure we combine it with this trip. We travel down US 1 to mile marker 0 here in Key West, Florida. So, it's time, believe it or not, it is time to go home. This buoy to buoy trip has taken about 5 weeks to complete, but going back even further, it's been a very long time since I have been at my own house. It was March 13th of this year was the last time I was at my own home, and that was only for one evening. So I'm at this point, I'm a little homesick, I'll admit. So I think we are going to, I was originally going to stay here a few more days in Key West back when Jen was planning on joining me. Of course, she was in a car accident, was unable to meet me out here for the last few days of the trip. So I'm going to try to get back home. I'm looking forward to seeing Jen, looking forward to being home. I wanted to drive all the way home today. I don't know if that's going to be possible given just my level of exhaustion, given the distance between Key West and Waynesville, North Carolina. So I think we're going to try to make it as far as we can tonight, and then we'll finish off and get home tomorrow. So please follow me. Now on this trip, going down the east coast of the United States, we've had some great seafood. We've had a lot of lobster on this meal, a lot of lobster rolls, but I figure since we are leaving, since we're heading home, it's only fitting to get one last great seafood meal, one last lobster roll here at DJ's Clam Shack. Now we ate at DJ's Clam Shack in St. Augustine as well. This is one of my favorite places for lobster rolls. Actually, I consider this the first place that I had my actual first proper lobster roll. I'd had like lobster rolls before where they're more like lobster salad. They have celery, chopped up vegetables in them, you know, filler. But when I ate the first lobster roll here, it was just lobster and butter. And I found out truly what a lobster roll could be. And I remember, from then on, a lobster roll has become one of my favorite foods, especially, I like the mayonnaise style too, but that lobster roll, I think it's Connecticut style with just lobster and butter, has become one of my absolute favorite things. And man, they make a great lobster roll here at DJ's Clam Shack. It's their mascot, a clam with eyeballs. See their mascot here, a clam with eyeballs. Yeah, right there, home of the world famous lobster roll. You can see here, Guy Fieri has actually been here, featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, March 2014. Fieri approved. Gentleman up in front saw that I was filming and gave me this DJ's Clam Shack sticker with the lovable eyeball clam. Okay, I actually ordered the overstuffed lobster roll with some extra lobster in it, and it does look like they that this is the main style lobster roll with the mayonnaise. So yeah, I love both kinds. I like the butter better, but I am looking forward to eating this. There we go. Yeah, regardless of if it's the Connecticut style or the Maine style, that is some of the best lobster, some of the sweetest, most delicious lobster that you can get. That is so good. Yeah, look at the meat in here. Like that there, that's an entire lobster claw. So just these huge pieces of fresh lobster. So yeah, regardless of what style lobster roll you get here, It is just absolutely one of the best. Just the best lobster, the best giant chunks of lobster meat. Nothing like shredded or chopped up, just big freaking pieces of lobster. But now we must depart Key West. But I need to stop and say hello to an old friend before we leave. And that brings us to Fort East Martello. So this is a Civil War era fort built in 1862, but there is so much more inside. We start off here where they're talking about the Civil War, and I actually did not know much about Key West in the Civil War before this visit. It's actually pretty fascinating. Basically, the Union at the very, very beginning of the war knew that they had to keep Key West as a military stronghold, so actually slid into the city, took over right at the beginning of the war, and held Key West for the entirety of the Civil War. So that means that Key West is the only southern city that was a Union city through the entire Civil War. Some items here, Civil War era items. I think that's fascinating. Apparently Key West was a well-established city, even though Florida as a state was still very much growing. So the Union were able to swoop in and keep it through the entire war. See the cannons here pointed out the windows. But here we talk about the indigenous people of Florida. See the dugout canoe there. In this case has some of the items used by indigenous people. You can see a lot of them made from bones and shells to be found on the item. Yeah, look at that weapon there. Has a shell. You don't want to get that shell lodged in your skull. Here's a dollhouse showing what a Key West home would have looked like in the 1850s. This elaborate dollhouse here. And there are some other doll-related items here in the museum. These items here are from the Sisters of the Holy Name Convent here in Key West. Said they did operate as a military hospital during the Spanish-American War. Oh, look at all the fish here in this cart. Look at this spooky horse-drawn hearse. I bet this is the spookiest thing in the whole museum. I lied. This is the spookiest thing in the whole museum. This is the infamous Robert the Doll. You can hear the sound of nursery music permeating the air here in the room with Robert. Now, for those of you who don't know, those of you who do not know about Robert, he is probably the most famous haunted doll in all of the world. I think the only doll that would rival Robert in infamy would be Annabelle the doll. I think Annabelle's a little bit more of a darker spirit than Robert here. But imagine those two getting in the same room. I think maybe that should be an experiment. They put Robert and Annabelle together in the same room just to see what would happen. But the story behind Robert, it was a gift to a young child named Robert Jean Otto. And the little boy loved the doll so much that he gave the doll his own name. He named the doll Robert. He took his own first name, bestowed it upon the doll, and then started going by his middle name. So Robert Jean Otto became Jean Otto. There was only one Robert, and that was Robert the doll. And as Jean was a little boy, if he got in trouble, if there were strange things, destruction, mayhem in the house, something was broken, and Jean would get in trouble, he would simply say, Robert did it. Robert did it. He would blame Robert for anything off, anything unusual in the home. And this would continue into adulthood. It would actually, when he lived on his own, he would have Robert would have his own bedroom. Robert would be treated like a member of the family. Matter of fact, when Gene and his wife were living together, if anything bad happened in the house, if his wife confronted him about something bad that happened, he would simply say, Robert did it. He would blame Robert, even as an adult, would blame Robert for anything negative that occurred around him, around the home. And people would say that they could hear giggling coming from Robert. They would see his expression in his face change. They could hear his footsteps from other rooms. People said that they would actually see Robert peering down at children from their home. And the home is still here in Key West. It has like a high up window where you can just imagine Robert peeking down out of the window. Just some real haunting stuff. Some people say that the movie Chucky was partially inspired by Robert the doll. But when Gene Otto, he lived with Robert his whole life, loved Robert his whole life, but when he passed away, his wife left Key West, left Robert behind, wanted nothing to do with Robert, and the activity continued even after Gene passed away. People would still hear the laughter, the footsteps. They would say he would move from place to place without being physically moved. He would change the expression on his face. He would peer down onto the street. Eventually, they donated him to this museum because they simply did not know what to do with him. And now he sits as a beloved figure in Key West, here at the East Martello Museum. Now, as tradition, you are supposed to ask Robert's permission before taking his photo, before videoing him. So I say, Robert, it's okay. I know I filmed all that stuff already. I didn't necessarily ask you, but that was okay, right? I said that he'll give you a little something to let you know. Okay, I think we're good. I think Robert's cool with all this. But yeah, you can see this iconic look, the little sailor outfit, the sailor hat, the very interesting, it's a homemade doll, very interesting, the face, how it's taken shape. You can see some of the straw, the stuffing poking through the pock marks in his face. You can see his companion, the little lion or dog, I'm not 100% sure there. But yeah, Robert sits here in his little doll chair. The ghostly king of the island of Key West. And in the case with Robert are his prized possessions. A letter from the White House. This is a birthday letter for Robert's 101st birthday, which is all the way back in 2005. This is from George W. Bush. It says, Happy 101st birthday. Laura and I send our best wishes on this joyous occasion. Your generation has taught America the timeless lessons of courage, endurance, and love. By sharing your wisdom and experience, you continue to serve as a role model for future generations. We hope you enjoy this special day. Reading this letter, I'm not entirely sure that George W. Bush realized he was sending this letter to a haunted doll. I think it sounds like maybe he thought Robert was a person, but nonetheless. But he didn't get a birthday wish from just George W. Bush. Also got a letter from Jeb Bush, who was governor of Florida at the time, wishing Robert a happy 101st birthday. I guess now he is 121 years old. The screen over here displays letters that were sent to Robert. This letter here actually talks about that the person took their picture without asking permission, and their house was struck by lightning and their grandma died. So yeah, these are all apology letters to Robert, where they are apologizing for taking his picture without asking first, and then blaming grave misfortune on the fact that they did so. So Robert, you're not gonna curse me, are you? I mean, we're friends. We've met a couple times. We seem to have a good rapport. You're not going to curse me with any sort of bad luck or misfortune, are you? I've had some misfortune already, probably enough. Just please, we're going on a trip in Hawaii. Please don't make the plane crash or anything like that. You know, I respect you, I respect our working relationship, and I assume everything's good now. And there's a chalkboard here where people write letters to Robert. Hi, Robert. You're handsome. Have a good day. Bye, Robert. Thanks for letting us visit. Hi, Robert. I hope you stay well, kept, and loved by all. And I'm going to leave my own chalk message here for Robert. Robert, don't kill me. I love you. Maybe if I slip Robert a little cash, he'll go easy on me. It's an exhibit on the Key West Cemetery. Yeah, there was only one cemetery in Key West. I guess here are some stones from the cemetery. The cemetery here is very fascinating. The famous "I told you I was sick" grave epitaph is there. Also, it's just something I've noticed going to that cemetery. All the crypts, you know, a lot of them are above ground crypts because of the water level. They're all full of iguanas. So you go there and then there's just iguanas pouring out of the graves, and then you scare the iguanas and all the iguanas dive into people's graves. You just imagine there's skeletons down there swarmed with iguana nests. And this is the gravestone of Elena Hoyes, possibly one of the darkest stories in all of Key West. So Elena was a young woman suffering from the effects of tuberculosis here in Key West, and she caught the eye of a very strange man who claimed to be a doctor, Count von Kozel. He kind of a shady guy from out of town. He was 53 years old. She was in her early 20s. And he claimed to be a doctor. He most likely was not a doctor, but was trying to cure her of her tuberculosis. And during that time, he fell deeply in love with her. He would visit her at her home constantly, would not leave her alone, was desperate to try to cure her so that they could live together forever. I don't think there's any indication that Elena shared the same feelings towards Count von Kozel. But after Elena died, that's when things got really weird, because he stole her body. He was determined that he was going to actually bring her back to life. He hid her body in an abandoned airplane and began doing experiments trying to resurrect her. Part of the experiments included trying to recreate her body with wax and cloth, basically literally trying to build a Bride of Frankenstein-like creature. And he would live with this doll, this human doll that he created, for years. People say that they could see him and her dancing through the window of his home. He got reported several times. Finally, it was uncovered that he was keeping her body in his home. Her body turned into a sickening, unliving doll. If you choose to look up the pictures, they're absolutely haunting. The way he reconstructed her. Of course, he was arrested for these obvious crimes and did not spend much time in jail, but was considered to be the shame of Key West, considered to be an outcast for the horrible crimes against humanity that he had committed. And Count von Kozel decided to finally leave Key West. He was too ashamed. He was being constantly ridiculed, so he left the island. And in a shocking coincidence, the day that he left the island, there was an explosion at Elena's grave. And you can see here where this stone has been exploded and put back together. So he blew up her tomb as he left Key West. Okay, getting a little less spooky over here. I have an exhibit on Key West's cigar making industry. You can see the cigar making tools here, the cigar boxes. Yeah, apparently it was a big deal back in the day to come to Key West and watch people make cigars. You see the sign would have stood outside Key West Cigar Factory, handmade cigars. Watch them being made. This talks about the sponging industry. the harvesting of sponges. You can see another one of those creepy diving suits there, where they would use to gather many, many sponges. These are items that were left by Cuban refugees that often come here to the Keys in handmade boats. So a lot of times once they get off the boat, they do leave the supplies behind that kept them on the boat. An interesting thing here, so often they will take off their waterlogged shoes and point them in the direction of Cuba. You can see the little pacifier there. Just imagine like a little tiny baby on a homemade boat crossing 90 miles of ocean. And here is a raft that sailed from Cuba. Again, 90 miles over ocean. So from Cuba to Key West here. Just basically different logs and stuff, all strapped together, made to float. You can just see, how desperate someone would be for a new life, to get away from tyranny in Cuba, wanting to start a new life for themselves and their family. The risks they're willing to take to get that new freedom. And as we step outside here, there is the Edna Wilkowski dollhouse. So yeah, a lot of doll houses here, a lot of doll related items. We got Robert the doll, we've got this dollhouse, we've got Elena Hoyas being turned into a human doll. But yeah, this was made for a little girl to play in with her dolls. Now, there's a lot of dolls in here. Some of these dolls look like they could possibly be more haunted than Robert. Yeah, we're out here in the courtyard of the fort. Look at this amazing cannon here. It's meant to look like a shark. And if you look inside, down the barrel, apparently instead of cannonballs, it shoots a moray eel. And from here we enter the Citadel Tower. Oh yeah, look at this. There's a lot of emptiness in here. Oh, dead end. We take the original staircase here up to the top of the tower. Just when I thought the winding staircases were over. And up on this floor, they have some pieces of folk art. Yeah, just look at these. Like a giant rat of some sort. So we head up the rest of the way to the top. Yeah, up here we have the original lookout for the fort. Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful view out into the ocean there. We've seen a lot of beautiful views of Key West. The different observation towers. That's just beautiful, being able to look out there into the ocean. And down we go. There's some more folk art in here. This is the work of Stanley Cameo. Look at the creepy face on this bed here. And some really cool stuff. Yeah, I do like the bed frame art. It's an interesting medium. This is the bow-legged bride. This is a World War I doughboy. Well, it looks like it's also a cat. And here we exit through the gift shop with this giant plushy Robert the Doll. That is I think that might actually be bigger than the actual Robert the Doll. And I have one of these at home, the replica Robert. I also have one of these, the Christmas Robert, the holiday elf Robert. And look at that, this elf on the shelf has been stabbed in the back. Uh-oh. It was Robert did it. So get a delightful Robert the Doll Christmas tree ornament. Some books on Count von Cosel as well. And I think that is Elena right there. This is a picture of the artist's house. So that tower right there, that's where Robert lived, where he would peer down onto the streets. Buy yourself a Ouija board here, maybe help try to communicate with Robert. And I've seen these string dolls, different locations, but here you can actually get a custom Robert the string doll. And there's a Robert the Doll snow globe. Let's see if it snows here. Oh, the black snow here at the East Martello Museum. The black snow falling in Key West. So it is time to say goodbye to Fort East Martello, to Robert the Doll, and to Key West. See that crumbling old railroad bridge there next to us. Headed back over that 7-mile bridge. 7 miles of bridge over top the ocean. Now running next to us on the left is the old railroad bridge, and I was told that tree right there growing out of the railroad bridge that is known as Fred the Tree is an icon out here in the Keys. And we made it the other side of the 7-mile bridge. Now you can actually walk along part of the old railroad bridge that runs alongside. Oh, and look at this. You can see the 7-mile bridge, just part of US 1. Again, sailing over the ocean in a car. What a time to be alive. And as we walk along here, I just can't believe just how beautiful the Keys are. I can't believe how blue that water is. Just one of the absolute most beautiful parts of the entire country. Okay, so you can walk 2 miles that way, and you can get to Pigeon Key, which is the island where the railroad workers were stationed. And I think I'm gonna go for it. I got my umbrella. It's a, bright sunny day. It's about 83 degrees right now. About 2-mile walk. I think I can do it. I'm just gonna have the umbrella to kind of keep the sun off me, and we're going for it. Yeah, there's people up there jogging, reminding me that there's a lot of people out there in way better shape than me. But it is a beautiful walk. You see the ocean on both sides, the cars whizzing by on US 1. It's a nice walk. We're gonna do this. can actually see Pigeon Key up there ahead. Again, it's about 2 miles up there. I'm trying to speed walk. Whew, it is a little warm out here. It is a little warm. It's about 83 degrees, like I said. It was when I was in Orlando, it was over 90 degrees. It's sunny in Florida, and of course walking on, you know, the asphalt here with no shade, right in the sun, cooks a little bit. See the boats over here by the bridge. So they do have those trams that will take you out to the island. I tried to get one. They said the last tram leaves at 2:30, so I just missed it by like 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm walking. Oh my goodness, what is that? You see that bird? That was perched up here on the bridge. Okay, we made it halfway. Getting closer, getting closer, getting closer. And there it is. Pigeon Key, we are almost there. To get to the end of the line here. This part of the bridge we were walking on was refurbished. The rest of the bridge is unrefurbished and unavailable. And we have made it on to Pigeon Key. We just have a little bit of time because they are closing soon. But yeah, this is the island where the railroad workers lived and slept. There is buildings here. That building there is where many of the men slept. And they said that over here they have this is a former swimming pool, but it's now used as an aquarium. So let's see. They said it goes up and down with the tide. So let's see if we can spot any fish in here. Oh, I see them. I see them. There's little sharks swimming in there. I saw a shark. There's a shark over there. Here, Sharky. Oh, there we go. There's a big old shark. Oh, look at it. It's got dead eyes, black, like a doll's eyes. And this is worth the price of admission right here. Just this beautiful view. You see the old railroad there. The new 7 Mile Bridge. The auto bridge right here. Absolutely stunning. You get right down here to the water. So let's peek in here. This is where the railroad workers would have slept. Oh, some aquariums in here. Oh, look at that big shrimp. And it feels like since we've been in the Keys, no matter where we go, there is a deep sea diver watching us. And this is the assistant bridge tender's house. I believe we can actually go in here. They said there was a museum inside. And some exhibits in here on the building of the overseas highway. The traffic light there. And of course, the train that used to run through the Keys that ran on that bridge that we were just walked over. Which back then had wooden trestles. Here's bottles all found along the 7 Mile Bridge from different eras in history. A history of trash, if you will. This is a derrick barge here. They said to use this type of ship because it's very shallow around here, so they needed stuff that floated on top of the water. Can you imagine pedaling one of these railroad cars all the way to Key West? It shows that later supplies were taken over in these bigger containers. Yeah, here we can see the construction of the bridge itself, step by step. These are all different railroad tools recovered from the area. Here is an original overseas railroad trestle from the 1920s. So this was yet once part of the bridge. We don't want to forget to stop at the gift shop. You can get your Pigeon Key merchandise in here. And look at these shirts here. Pigeon Key, a pigeon and a key. Pigeon is the bird, key is the thing that unlocks doors. Of course, key is also the name for a small island. But I purchased the greatest gift of all, cold water. It was hot out there on the bridge. And there is a dock back here behind this house. We'll walk out here to the end of the dock. There's a couple of pelicans over here. Hey, pelicans. And you can see the bridge there. I walked all the way where the water ends over there. You can see where the old railroad bridge continues out that way. You can see another train coming up there. But the greatest news of all is that I was able to purchase a return ticket for $10. I'm able to pay to have a ticket to have the Pigeon Key Express here drive me back across the bridge, back 2 miles to where my car is. And I'm really excited. I was fully prepared to have to walk another 2 miles back in the sun. All right, let's go hop here in the back where we can get the wildest ride. Now it looks like there's a seat in the very back here that actually looks back out the back of the train. This island is closed. nice long walk, a beautiful island, and now a relaxing ride back to my car. Racing this boat here. Boat versus train, the ultimate showdown. We successfully conquered Pigeon Key. So now it is time to get back on that long, lonesome road. Ready to get some dinner. Figure we'd stop here at Wahoo's Bar and Grill. Actually stopped by here the other day when I was coming into Key West, but I did not eat. Well, I am happy that I get to see my friend again, the scuba shark, the hammerhead shark, inexplicably wearing scuba gear. See on the bar here, this giant marlin actually poking through the roof. Sitting out here on the porch, the beautiful view of the harbor here. And I got the Wahoo BLT. Now Wahoo is apparently a big old fish. So it's got the fish on there, bacon, lettuce, tomato, and a little remoulade. And it looks very, very delicious. Look at that. So the Wahoo, they're very dense fish, very meaty fish. And that's all that goes together really good. The bacon, the yummy sauce there. Pretty good. And I finished all my Wahoo here at Wahoo's. I couldn't grab my camera in time, but there actually was a big freaking shark that just swam down under here. And there's the shark right there. See him. Okay, so this is a Wahoo. This is the fish I had for dinner. Yeah, that shark was lurking over here by this fiberglass shark. Okay, so it is about 1 a.m. and I was thinking of stopping in the Orlando area for the night and carrying on for tomorrow morning. But man, I just got to thinking, I've been in a hotel every night since March 13th. Been in a different hotel, usually a different hotel. A few times I've stayed at the hotel a couple days, but for the most part, been in a different hotel every night almost since March 13th, and I just thought about getting my suitcase out, getting my backpack out, getting my extra bag of snacks and drinks out, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to put it off, wasting all the time checking in, wasting all the time checking out, and then not being able to get home till tomorrow evening, and I just kept going. I'm in Daytona, I think. I'm at one of the Buc-ee's. This isn't St. Augustine, so I think this is Daytona. So I just think I'm just gonna keep going. It's like I said, it's 1 a.m., so it's pretty much too late to check into a hotel room. I checked into a hotel room. I would probably not be able to even get 8 hours of sleep before I have to check out. So I think we're just gonna travel through the night. If I get tired, I'll stop and take a nap at a rest area. You know, I'm careful about driving when I'm too tired. But right now I feel good. I feel energized. I feel anxious to be home. And I feel ready to be home. And I think we're just going to keep going until we get home. Haven't been at a Buc-ee's for a little while, though. There's no Buc-ee's on Route 1. They got their summer t-shirts in. Got Uncle Sam Buc-ee. I guess that is on the front. On the back, you've got Sweet Land of Liberty with Buc-ee, with fireworks on a floaty. Oh, and they've updated the Buc-ee's concert t-shirt, which has all the dates of the stores, the store openings on the back. It says already in 2025, there's already been 3 Buc-ee's open in, that says Mississippi in 2025. I think that might be a misprint. It says Mississippi, but also Brunswick, Georgia, and Rockingham, Virginia. They opened another one in Amarillo, Texas. So yeah, they're expanding faster than ever. And then this is new. Jen went all the way to Buc-ee's to see one of these, the dancing Buc-ee there. Press the logo. Let's try this one. Have these all been worn out? Am I doing it wrong? It says press the logo. Oh! Press it. There we go. He danced. I thought it was his paw, but it says poke him in his belly. And he sings a little Willie Nelson tune and does a little Willie Nelson dance. And goodbye for now, Beaver. We are destined to be intertwined for the rest of our days. Okay, so that didn't last all that long. It's about 3:30 in the morning. I got a little bit tired, so I pulled over. I took about an hour nap, and I'm feeling a little better. So we're gonna get back on that long, lonesome road. Sun is trying to come up. And it looks like that sun is starting to come out. And it is almost 6 o'clock in the morning. You see the sun starting to rise here. Successfully made it to South Carolina. Only one more state line to cross. It's funny how fast I got back to the Carolinas after how long it took me to get down using Route 1. The freeway system, it's boring. You don't see anything fun, but it sure gets you where you need to go a lot faster. Okay, so stopped and got a little hour nap in, but I think we got about 2 hours left, so hopefully this will be the last leg of our trip. And will you look at that? It is the Appalachian Mountains. What a difference 24 hours can make. 24 hours ago, I was in Key West, Florida, and now, for the first time in months, I'm standing in my own home. March 13th was the last time I was here in this house. This time I stepped foot in my own home. And it's quite a journey to get to Key West to here. Feel like somewhere in there I saw a haunted doll and walked across a 2-mile bridge, although that could have all been a dream. And I think now I may go get some rest. And I may be taking some days off, maybe taking some time off, but I will get back with you guys at some point. If you'd like to help out the channel, all those things are in the description. And until next time, this one's in the bag.